What would you do if the man you loved, the one who walked you home in the rain, listened to your dreams and made you believe in something real, turned out to be the billionaire owner of the company that once humiliated you in front of strangers? Would you confront him or disappear before he had a chance to explain? This is the story of Emily Carter, a hard-working design student who entered a luxury boutique one stormy afternoon looking for help and walked straight into a nightmare of public shame. But just when the world turned its back on her, a stranger stepped forward. His name was Daniel. Quiet, kind, ordinary, or so she thought. What started as a chance meeting turned into a whirlwind of coffee shop conversations and fragile beginnings. But behind Daniel's gentle eyes was a secret big enough to shatter everything. Stay with us because this isn't just a story about love and betrayal. It's about truth, redemption, and what it takes to rebuild trust once it's been broken. What happened after Emily discovered who Daniel really was will leave you speechless. Watch until the end. You won't want to miss the moment everything changes. The bell above the boutique door jingled as Emily Carter stepped inside, soaked to the bone and shivering from the cold spring rain outside. Her shoes squelched with each step across the glossy marble floor of Elegance & Co., leaving small, muddy footprints on what was clearly a pristine showroom. Her simple white cotton dress clung to her skin, damp and transparent in places. Raindrops slid from her golden brown hair down her trembling shoulders. She hugged herself tightly, trying to appear small, invisible. From behind the counter, a woman with icy eyes and a designer blazer snapped her head up. "Excuse me," she barked. "What do you think you're doing in here? I'm sorry." Emily's voice cracked with the chill. I was wondering if there's a place nearby where I could print something. It's for school, it's an emergency." Vanessa Blake crossed her arms, her expression curling into a cruel smile. "Are you serious? You're dripping all over the Italian marble. Do you even know where you are?" Several well-dressed clients turned to stare. One woman covered her mouth with a gloved hand to muffle a laugh. Another whispered to her friend, eyes gleaming with judgment. Emily flushed with shame. I'm not here to shop. I just thought maybe you could help." "This is Elegance & Co., sweetheart," Vanessa sneered. "We sell gowns that cost more than you probably make in a year. You can't even afford a towel in this place." "I'm sorry," Emily whispered, backing away, her voice barely audible. "It's just, my university printer broke. My final portfolio's due in 2 hours. I've been running all over downtown Chicago in the rain trying to find help." Vanessa leaned over the counter, her voice loud enough for the entire boutique to hear. "So you decided to walk in here looking like a drowned stray dog begging for a favor." Emily's eyes brimmed with tears, but she stood her ground. Just tell me if there's a print shop nearby. That's all." Vanessa picked up the store phone with exaggerated annoyance. "I'm calling security. You're disturbing the atmosphere for our real customers." One of the older clients muttered loudly. She should be in a shelter, not a designer store. Emily's heart pounded. Her knees nearly gave out from humiliation. This wasn't supposed to happen. She had been so careful, so dedicated, studying late nights, working at the Golden Roast Cafe every afternoon, saving every penny. And now a broken printer and a thunderstorm were about to destroy everything she had worked for. "Excuse me," a calm male voice said behind them. Everyone turned. A man in his early 30s stood near the dressing room hallway. He wasn't flashy, blue button-down worn jeans, but there was something about his presence that silenced the room instantly. His hazel eyes were locked on Emily, warm and focused, like she was the only one there. "Do you need help?" he asked softly. Vanessa straightened, clearly irritated. "Sir, this girl wandered in off the street. We're handling it." "I wasn't talking to you," the man replied sharply, never breaking eye contact with Emily. "I'm asking her." Emily's lips parted, stunned. No one had spoken to her like that all day. She nodded slowly. "I just need to print something. For my final project. It's really important." The man smiled. "There's a print shop just 2 blocks down. Come on, I'll walk you there." Vanessa's eyes bulged. "Who do you think you are?" "Someone who knows how to treat people with respect," he said, still not looking at her. A thick silence fell. The other customers fidgeted awkwardly. Emily stood frozen, then felt his hand gently touch her elbow. "I'm Daniel," he said with a soft smile. "Let's get you out of here." Emily looked at Vanessa one last time, her eyes no longer filled with shame, but with quiet dignity. Without a word, she walked out beside Daniel. The rain had slowed now, only misting the city streets. For the first few steps, Emily didn't speak. She couldn't. Her throat was still tight from the confrontation. Daniel broke the silence. "Don't let people like that make you doubt your worth." Emily finally turned to him. "Thank you. I don't even know you, but you stepped in like someone who saw a good person being mistreated," he finished. They reached the small print shop, its glowing sign buzzing above the entrance. "I'll wait out here," Daniel offered. Emily looked at him unsure. "You don't have to." "I want to." She smiled her first real smile that day and disappeared inside. 20 minutes later, she emerged with her portfolio safely printed, wrapped in plastic, clutched to her chest like a lifeline. "You just saved my entire future," she said, voice trembling again, but this time with gratitude. "Then it was worth the walk," he replied. "You got a name, Emily." "Emily Carter." "Nice to meet you, Emily," he said. "Maybe next time I see you, it won't be during a downpour." She laughed softly. "Maybe." As she waved goodbye and turned down the street, Daniel stayed where he was, watching her disappear into the crowd, unaware that she had just changed his life as much as he had changed hers. We're truly sorry for pausing the story here, especially right as everything is just beginning. But trust us, what comes next will leave you speechless. What would you have done if you were Emily, standing in that boutique surrounded by judgment and cruelty? And what do you think Daniel is hiding? Because yes, there's something he's not telling her. Where are you watching from today? We'd love to know. If this story moved you even just a little, please drop a like and tap that heart. It means more than you know. Emily Carter never believed in fairy tales. But for 3 weeks straight, Daniel Walker walked into her life every day at 3:00 p.m. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, he made her want to believe. He'd sit in his usual booth at the Golden Roast, cafe, black coffee in hand, that soft, easy smile warming the space more than the afternoon sun ever could. It started with small talk, then jokes, then secrets. And before she could stop it, he'd become the highlight of her day. He asked about her design projects, her dreams of one day opening a studio for small businesses that couldn't afford big branding firms. He asked about Grandma Rose and the tiny apartment in Logan Square. He listened like her words were precious. But when she asked about him, Daniel's answers were always vague. Just office stuff, he'd say with a shrug. Spreadsheets, meetings, nothing special. Sometimes he'd change the subject. Once she noticed a high-end key fob in his jacket, something that didn't match his thrift store wardrobe. But she told herself not to overthink it. Daniel was humble, kind, grounded. He wasn't like the others, or so she thought. One Friday, Emily decided to surprise him. She'd cooked sancocho, the comfort food her grandma always made, and packed it carefully in a lunch container. He had mentioned once offhandedly that his office was near the Skyline corporate tower. She asked casually, and he'd replied with a chuckle, "Yeah, I'm in and out of that building sometimes." So she took the bus downtown, heart fluttering like a nervous bird. The moment she stepped into the lobby of the tower, she knew something was off. The floors gleamed like liquid glass. The front desk was guarded by a receptionist dressed sharper than anyone Emily had ever worked with. She smoothed her simple blouse and tried to ignore the stares from people in tailored suits. "I'm here to see Daniel Walker," she said. "I'm his girlfriend. It's a surprise." The receptionist hesitated, then checked her list. A quick call, a nod. "Office 2015. He's currently in a board meeting." Emily blinked. "He's in a what?" The receptionist smiled thinly. "A board meeting with the executive team of Elegance & Co." and Emily's stomach twisted. "Wait, Elegance & Co." "Yes, Mr. Walker owns the company. Didn't he tell you?" Emily stared at her lips, parting, no sound coming out. The boutique, the rain, the humiliation. She remembered the marble floors, the cruel laughter, the woman who had called her a stray dog. Daniel had walked out from the back that day, quiet, kind, and had pretended he didn't know a thing. Now she realized he hadn't found her that day. He had watched, from an office, a camera, a goddamn throne above it all. Her hands trembled as she turned away. The receptionist called after her, but Emily didn't stop. She got in the elevator, pressed the lobby button with shaking fingers, and clutched the lunch container to her chest like a shield. Outside, the wind had picked up. Cold slapped her cheeks red as she stumbled onto the sidewalk trying to breathe. Then she saw him, across the street, stepping out of a sleek black Mercedes-Benz, wearing a navy suit that hugged him like it had been tailored in Milan. He laughed with two executives, his briefcase in hand, utterly confident, powerful, everything he never let her see. He hadn't been honest, not for a second. She turned fleeing into the crowd before he could spot her. The food in her hands felt suddenly absurd. That night, Emily didn't sleep. Her phone lit up with a message from Daniel. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow. I've got a surprise for you." She stared at it until the screen dimmed. The next morning, she walked into the Golden Roast Cafe an hour before her shift and asked to speak to the manager. "I'm quitting," she said, voice steady. Effective immediately. She didn't wait for questions. She packed her things, left her apron behind, and walked out of the cafe, out of that version of her life, without looking back. Daniel showed up at 3:00 p.m., as usual, holding a gift bag and wearing that same warm smile. He asked Jenny where Emily was. Jenny hesitated. "She quit this morning." No explanation. The color drained from Daniel's face. What he whispered. She didn't leave a note, just walked out. She seemed upset. Daniel left the gift bag behind, a book on design Emily had once mentioned. He got in his car and drove across the city like a madman, heart pounding louder than the engine. He stopped in front of her apartment building in Logan Square and ran up the stairs two at a time. Grandma Rose opened the door. Her face was calm, too calm. "She doesn't want to see you," she said. "Please, I just need 5 minutes." "She found out, didn't she?" Grandma Rose cut him off. Daniel swallowed. I never meant to hurt her. You should have thought of that before you built a relationship on a lie." She didn't slam the door. She simply closed it slowly with the kind of heartbreak only a grandmother could carry. "We know this moment hit hard and we're sorry to stop here, but things are only going to get more intense from here on out. If you were Daniel, what would you have done differently? Do you believe a relationship can survive once trust is shattered like this? Tell us where in the world you're watching from. We'd truly love to know. And if this story tugged at your heart, hit that like button and send us a heart to keep the story alive." Daniel Walker had always believed there was nothing in the world that money couldn't fix until Emily Carter disappeared from his life. Her silence was louder than any argument. Her absence more painful than any rejection. For the first time in his carefully controlled, boardroom-polished life, Daniel felt truly helpless. He called. No answer. He wrote letters. No reply. He even went to her university only to learn she had requested to finish her coursework remotely. It was like she'd vanished into thin air, leaving behind only the echo of the truth she had uncovered. He had lied to her. Not once, but from the very beginning, and it had broken her. One night, sitting alone in his penthouse with unopened takeout and a half-drunk glass of whiskey, Daniel stared at the city lights and finally saw the truth he'd spent weeks avoiding. He hadn't just lied to Emily to protect her from his world. He'd done it to protect himself from the terrifying possibility that someone might love him for who he really was, not what he had. So he made a decision. The next morning, Daniel walked into the headquarters of Elegance & Co. and called a company-wide meeting. His board of directors stared at him in disbelief as he announced new company policies, mandatory inclusion, training, a zero-tolerance policy for class-based discrimination, and a retroactive audit of every boutique's customer service practices. Within days, Vanessa Blake, the same employee who had humiliated Emily in front of strangers, was terminated. But Daniel didn't stop there. He recorded a video. In it, he looked straight into the camera. No suit, no expensive backdrop. Just Daniel, raw and honest. "My name is Daniel Walker," he said, "and I owe the world and someone very special an apology." He confessed to lying about his identity, explained why he hid his wealth, and then he did something no one expected. He set up a scholarship fund, named it after her, the Emily Carter Design Grant. $5 million dedicated to helping working-class students pursue creative careers. "If Emily's watching," he said in the final seconds, "I hope she knows I never meant to hurt her. I only ever wanted her to see me as a man, not a brand. And if she can forgive me, I'll spend the rest of my life proving I was never pretending when I said I loved her." The video went viral in less than 2 hours. Emily was in the hospital waiting room when she saw it. Her grandmother, Grandma Rose, had suffered a stress-related collapse the day before. The scandal, the public humiliation, the heartbreak, it had all been too much. Emily had barely eaten, barely slept. Now, watching the screen of her phone light up with Daniel's trembling voice, her hands went numb. He was telling the truth. All of it. Publicly. Unashamed. She felt something shift inside her. A few hours later, Daniel arrived at St. Mary's Hospital, his eyes hollow, his hair disheveled. He found her in the hallway outside the ICU. "Emily," he said, breathless, "I heard about your grandmother. I came as soon as I could." She didn't speak, just stared at him. "I know I don't deserve your forgiveness," he whispered, "but please, tell me what I can do to make this right." "You can't undo a lie, Daniel," she said quietly. "You made me fall in love with someone who didn't exist." Daniel reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small box. Not velvet, not flashy, just simple cardboard. "I didn't bring you jewelry," he said. "I brought you this." Inside was a hand-drawn sketch, a logo design, a sleek, modern emblem with bold lines and soft edges. It read, "Style for all." "I want to launch a new line," he said. "Affordable fashion, quality pieces for working-class families. I want to do it with you. I want you to lead it." Emily blinked. "Why me?" "Because you're the most talented, passionate person I've ever met. And because I'm not asking as a CEO. I'm asking as the man who fell in love with a girl in a cafe who made him believe in people again." Tears filled her eyes, but they didn't fall. "Your world still scares me," she said. Daniel took her hand. "Then let's build one together, one we're both proud of." A year later, Emily Carter stood beside Daniel Walker on the rooftop terrace of their new office space in downtown Chicago. The skyline glittered around them, and the launch party for Style for All was buzzing with energy. Emily's studio, Carter Design Co., had become one of the most sought-after branding firms for small businesses in the city. The grant program had already helped 18 students start careers in design, and Grandma Rose She had fully recovered now, dating the cafe's owner, Mr. Frank, and dancing more than any 70-something had a right to. As the music played and champagne flowed, Daniel pulled Emily aside. "Would you still choose me?" he asked, "if I hadn't changed." She smiled, lacing her fingers with his. "You didn't change," she whispered. "You just remembered who you really were." And beneath the glittering Chicago sky, they kissed, not as CEO and scholarship girl, not as a man and a lie, but as two souls who had finally told the truth. What would you have done if you were Emily, walked away, or taken the risk to believe again? And if you were, Daniel, would you have had the courage to admit your mistakes in front of the world? What do you think of this story? If it moved you, comment number 3 below. If it felt just okay, write number 2. And if you think we could have done better, go ahead and say note 1. We're listening. Also, let us know what country you're watching from. And if this story touched your heart, please send a heart and share it with someone who still believes in second chances.